How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Bring the Juice. I know I'm not in my normal spot either. Still heading back from the game. Derek and I, obviously, we stayed in Indianapolis yesterday after the game and left. I just met a friend, so now I am heading back. But in the meantime, I wanted to kind of talk about a topic that I've been kind of going on Twitter about, kind of just calling some people out on it, honestly, because a lot of people, I think, are pretty silly when it comes to this whole idea of Carson Wentz. A lot of haters, especially last week when Carson Wentz threw 2 interceptions in that Titans game. There's a lot of people who went after Carson Wentz, who said he's terrible, who said he's absolute trash, anything and everything in between negative towards Carson Wentz you can imagine. Pretty much the haters were on the hate Carson Wentz train. So I wanted to kind of make a video just kind of calling that out, because to me it's so silly and so pathetic that there's people out there that are seriously hating on Carson Wentz still. And there's people out there, I've heard excuses everywhere, guys. It's actually insane. Heard just different excuses of people saying, well, it was the Jets. You know, Carson Wentz was nearly dang near perfect yesterday in the game against the Jets. And I hear people saying, well, it's just the Jets. It doesn't matter. He hasn't beat a good team yet. All these different ways to try to justify their point of how they believe Carson Wentz is not a good quarterback. And I just kind of chuckle, because a lot of people, they pick and choose what they like, and they try to do that and use that to fit their narrative. Now, for me, I'm not the type of person that tries to do that. I try to look at everything objectively as much as I can and give an honest, obviously I'm a fan, but I try to give as much of an unbiased opinion as I can. If a player's not playing well, I'm not going to try to hide that, right? I'm not going to try to sweep it under the rug and be like, oh, it'll be fine, they'll be fine. No, I want to call it for what it is. And I think it would be a disservice to you guys if myself, if Derek, if Matt, if anybody who came onto this podcast went and said something that we, if we didn't tell you the truth, right? If we didn't tell you the truth, the reality is the Colts are under 500 right now. The reality is that Carson Wentz is playing extremely well. This Colts offense is humming right now. I mean, it had over 250 yards rushing yesterday. Carson Wentz had 3 touchdowns, only misfired on only a couple passes, and a few of those were drops. I mean, so call it what it is. Carson Wentz had the best quarterback rating of his career yesterday against the Jets. And that's not the first time Carson Wentz has had a quarterback rating of over 100. He's only had a couple games this year, last week against Tennessee, the first game against Tennessee when he was hurt, and then the game against Seattle, his first ever game as an Indianapolis Colt, where he was getting hit every other play, right? Because Julian Davenport was in. Remember, Braden Smith got injured in that game, and Julian Davenport was at left tackle because Eric Fisher wasn't back. The offensive line was not where it should be. Carson Wentz threw it way too much in that game. And I thought he looked okay in that game. I thought he still had things he had to work on. But for some people, the haters especially, I don't know what it is about Carson Wentz, but they expect him to have an incredible game every week. And if he doesn't, like if he has a bad game like he did last week, and I'll say what he did. He had a bad game last week. He turned the ball over 2 times. Unacceptable. That can't happen. But they jump on that, man. They jump on one bad week. And you look at quarterbacks like Mahomes and Josh Allen and different guys like that, guys who have had bad weeks. And everybody doesn't really rag on them because they realize these guys are good quarterbacks. And so for me, I guess it's just silly that people can't see that Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. I mean, he is really, really good. He's on pace right now for, I believe it was 33 touchdowns. He's only thrown 3 picks so far, so under 10 interceptions on the season, over 4,000 yards. I mean, I guarantee you if this guy's name wasn't Carson Wentz, if there wasn't the stuff that happened last year, people would acknowledge, even those haters would acknowledge Carson Wentz for what he is. He's a fringe top 10 quarterback. He's played like that virtually the entire season with no preseason, barely any training camp because of that crazy thing with his foot, and he's looked absolutely spectacular. He's had moments. He's had his Carson Wentz moments. I mean, we know this, right? We knew that's what Carson Wentz does, right? That's what he tried to do last year. He tried to play hero ball too much. A lot of times it didn't work out. The Eagles were bad. Carson Wentz had a bad year, right? It happens. But the Colts now, they have a running game to help Carson Wentz, right? And Carson Wentz has looked really good. He was without T.Y. Hilton. He was without Paris Campbell again. So without 2 of his top 3 receivers. And he just looked phenomenal. He looked spectacular again. And Carson just continues to do that week in and week out. And I just wish people would give him the respect that he deserves. And I wish the people that are hating on him would actually hate on him if it's legit, and it's not been legit to me. He's been a borderline top 10 quarterback all year. He deserves the respect of people, even if you don't like Carson Wentz as a person or if you don't like him as a player. If you're a former Eagles fan, I get that. It's never fun to see somebody that was on your team and didn't do well on your team go succeed other places. I'm just asking for you to be honest about it. That's all I'm asking. Just be honest about where Carson Wentz is. Let's just say he's played really well, because that is very true. Let's not try to let our bias get in the way. Carson Wentz has been very good this year for Indianapolis, and I think he deserves that kind of respect from everybody. So that's kind of my mini rant here, guys, on Carson Wentz, on some of the people who decide to hate him for no particular reason, despite the fact that he's been really, really good the whole year for the Colts. And from a Colts fan's perspective, if we have to give away that first-round pick, obviously you don't want to ever give away a first-round pick, but if we had to, this is what I was hoping to see from Carson Wentz. He has lived up and exceeded my expectations, and I know a lot of people within the Colts organization's expectations. So very excited to see him continue to be our franchise quarterback moving forward. Hope that we can continue to help him out in the run game with Jonathan Taylor and company, continue to protect him well like we did last night, and hopefully the defense can pick up the slack a little bit. I mean, the fact that Carson Wentz had the Colts scoring over 40 points in the third quarter and still had to remain in that game, I mean, that's just silly to me. That's another topic for another time. I know Derek will kind of have a post-game recap up later today, if not tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. But I just wanted to let you guys in on this video. I just wanted to give my opinion, my take on the whole Carson Wentz situation, on the people who decide to hate on him for really no reason. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all your support and everything you do for us. Last night was a ton of fun. Derek and I enjoyed just being at the stadium. It was my first time at the stadium this year, and it was a great way to see the Colts win. It's always more fun, obviously, when they win than as opposed to when they lose. And they're right back in that playoff hunt. They have a chance here to potentially go on a run here. We'll see. They have some tough opponents coming up, but good to see at least that Carson Wentz and this Colts offense, they seem to be on a roll right now. I'm excited to see how they continue to build off of this. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. As always, go Colts.